Yes, guys. Hello and welcome back to the Spurs-related YouTube channel and podcast. I hope everyone is doing very well today. We have a transfer news roundup for you guys tonight. A lot happening at Tottenham Hotspur for once. It's been a bit quiet for a couple of weeks, but here we goes within the space of a few days, plus more rumours, plus more links. So hopefully you guys will enjoy this. If you do, of course, as always, please make sure you're supporting the channel. The freeway as well, hitting the like button, turning on the noties and subscribing. But as you can also see, we have a star-studded lineup. I'd like to call them the Fantastic Four, not to call myself fantastic, but I'm just going to add myself to the mix as well. As you can see, we're joined back alongside Thomas Frank's AI son. And yes, I will continue to call him that until he gets sacked. That is Frank Thomas. And yes, that is his real name. For those that haven't seen him before, Frank, how are you doing, mate?
I'm all right. It's the first time we've been live, I think, this year, isn't it? I think this is the first for 2026. So happy New Year to all. And I'm feeling positive. It's nice to not have to just talk about Tottenham getting beat constantly and talk about something a bit more positive in terms of the window.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. Yes, happy New Year to everyone. I forget it's Happy New Year. I mean, I've literally, apologies for the lack of activity on the lives. Obviously, Frank's been carrying the offline videos, guys. Make sure you are checking them out absolutely every single day. But also, we're joined alongside, of course, Billy T. Bill, it's been a while, mate. It's been a week or so. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. I love the transfer window. Not been a load of links, but it's starting to move a little bit now. So obviously had a big couple of days with the Gallagher transfer, but yeah, I still think lots more to come, hopefully.
Absolutely, mate. And good to see you as well. Hope all is well. Can confirm off of Football Talk, the Marty Supreme is in fact the film of the year. So you were right on that one, although it's only 13 days in. And his debut on the channel, it is Henry from White Art Henry on TikTok. Guys, make sure you're checking it out if you are a TikToker. Henry, thank you very much for coming on short notice, mate. I know I only messaged you, excuse me, yesterday. How are you doing, mate? Welcome in.
Yeah, not bad, mate. Thanks for the invite. Looking forward to it.
You're very welcome, mate. It's good to have you on and complete the panel today. We're talking all things transfers. And guys, if you want transfer news daily over on TikTok, please do go and check out Henry's channel. I'll put it in the link in the chat in just a moment's time and at the end of the video. But guys in the chat, I can see it's already going a bit crazy. Let's get some views and thoughts. Wide Eye, I'm not going to read your full name because I always feel a bit weird reading it all out. We're still not sure what it means. But anyway, I Can't Stand Jones. He's oh, brilliant. We've already started off with the swearing. But he's technically better than anything we have. I think he's a number 10 though, right? I'd say he's more of a... I can play 10, but also the 8. What do you reckon, guys? Jones?
I think we'd be lucky to have Curtis Jones as well. I'm quite a big fan of Curtis Jones, and I have been for quite a while. I think he's quite seriously underrated, actually. I think a lot of people turn their nose up because they have an unbelievable midfield, Liverpool, and so he's not the one that stands out. But I think he's the sort of player that I think Spurs are a club that dine at a table below the top lot, and we kind of are okay with that. That's all right. But then you have to take players from either the clubs below their best players or the players who aren't always playing as much as maybe they should at the bigger clubs. And I think if Spurs could get hold of someone like Curtis Jones, I think it'd be an unbelievable signing.
I have to agree. I'm going to get the thoughts of Bill and Henry in just a minute on Jones. But I think you're spot on. I think there's a lot of negativity about this Gallagher transfer. I think there's a lot of negativity about the potential Curtis Jones rumours. Even in this chat now, I'm seeing a lot of negativity. But you need a bit of grit. You need a bit of high pressers, high workers, and those two do exactly that, especially Gallagher. He's a very technical player. I really like Conor Gallagher. I was always jealous when Chelsea and Palace both had him, and I think we've honestly got an underrated player there. But we'll get into things in a minute. Any news on Kimmich? We'll get into that. I hope we go for Wharton. Wharton's an incredible player. Alex Dennison, hope you're well, mate. He said, why would Kimmich join us? Very good question. Probably the best question of the night so far. I don't know why anyone would join us, if I'm being totally honest. But Tyler's also saying, big up the boys, big up Ty. Nighttime kid, big up to you. He says Jones is a big no for me. We'll have to get your thoughts on that in a minute. We need a progressive number 8. I agree with you. I definitely agree with you. I'm going to do a couple more comments and then I will go back to the chat in just a bit. Scoped, big up, mate. I've seen your comments offline. Really appreciate the support. With the greatest game ever made in your profile picture, that is Black Ops 1. I really don't understand why we needed someone like him. We have a very similar players in the midfield. I just hope he works out. Absolutely. Josh Smith's in here saying, big up, gents. Seeing more news that we're back in for Akliouche. We've got news on that as well. There is plenty to get through, as well as Zik Howell here saying, Happy New Year. We need a striker severely. And Ayanami, big up as always, mate. Hope you're well. He's saying, watch Tottenham lose 4-1 to Arsenal and then watch my Uni City lose 4-1 to Arsenal in the FA Cup. We need to be freed from the shackles. Gallagher choosing us over Villa since nobody wants to live in Birmingham. Yeah, I think it's to do with financial fair play, but maybe that is a factor. But anyway, let's get into things because I don't like the sound of my own voice for too long. And let's get the thoughts of these lovely people as well. But guys, make sure you are supporting the channel, smashing the like, smashing the subscribe if you're new to the channel, and checking out these guys when I put their links in the description. But I'm going to just quickly, before we get into the slides and the transfers, just for 5-10 minutes, talk about, unfortunately, another loss at the weekend, of course, against Aston Villa in the Cup. I'm going to start with Henry on his debut. Henry, I'm not sure if you were there at the game, mate, or whether you watched on TV, but what were your initial thoughts on the match? And for me, it was a game of two halves. I thought second half we were actually really good at times, but first half it was another disgrace. What were your general thoughts on the game, mate? And what does that lead to? What do you think we need in the transfer window because of that game and games before?
I mean, yeah, I was in the stadium. I took my granddad for his Christmas present. What a great Christmas present that is. I mean, I think we actually started the game pretty well. First sort of 10-15 minutes, we looked okay. We were nullifying Villa's threats a lot. I think Paulinho had a really good game against Rodgers. But the first goal was pretty standard Spurs at the moment. Ball through the middle. And just like that, we're 1-0 down. And then from then until the second goal, it was pretty standard of what we've seen a lot this year. We weren't very good. And then I think the second goal late in the first half really kills the game. Second half, I mean, there's lots of rumours going around that the players were in the dressing room were the ones that actually rallied together and really caused the change. It's not really much to see as to whether it was Thomas Frank that actually got into him to change the game, but the second half was much better. Until really, for me, in the stadium, I thought we were much better until he started to make the changes. I don't see why Dane Scarlett came on to play right wing. He's not a winger. Yeah. And I mean, great to have Solanke back, but he didn't really get much. So I think we were really good in that second half until them changes, to be honest. And same as we've seen recently, a sort of 20-25 minute period where we were really good, but it was too late.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good summary, mate. I think you're right. The subs seemed to kill the game. The momentum that we had after scoring that goal, I thought Simmons and Odobert were doing really well. Bill, I'll come over to you, mate. I saw your tweet about, only Thomas Frank sort of could kill the game with substitutions. Do you agree with what Henry's saying here? And what do you think we're screaming out for, given that was how the game sort of went, mate?
Yeah, I think, people talk a lot about the second half and it was much better, but as soon as the subs came on, it kind of killed the momentum dead. I think when Tel went off and then, we brought 3 strikers on by the end, when I think Scarlett came on first and Solanke, we just lost all kind of control of that game. And actually it was Villa that were coming back at us. I think it just really shows that we don't, I think Aston Villa showed it perfectly, how easy it is to play through the middle against us, and we offer nothing in the middle, really. I think we really desperately need a progressive pass through the middle and a bit more steel in midfield. I think Gallagher will definitely bring a bit more steel, but in terms of progressive passes, there's no one. And actually, interesting, at the beginning of the show, you talk about Curtis Jones. Curtis Jones got some of the best progressive passes stats in the league. I think he stands out in all the progressive passing metrics as one of the best in the league. So that would definitely be an interesting signing. But I kind of feel like the second half was, as Henry was saying, was more on the players than anything. I don't think it was particularly anything good that Thomas Frank did. And I think it's another really disappointing performance overall. We're out of the FA Cup season. It's pretty much over. So yeah, there you go. There's the graphic there for people watching on YouTube. Is the you can see that Curtis Jones really stands out as being not only having the most attempted progressive passes, but the highest success rate as well. So that'd be a really interesting signing because you saw Tielemans and Rodgers just having an absolute field day in the middle of the park versus us, and I read that Morgan Rodgers did more through balls in that game than we've had all season. So it's a real worry for us. Sorry, I think he's done more through balls in total than we have in total all season. So
in one game, wasn't it?
Yeah, we desperately need a progressive passer in there.
Yeah, absolutely. No, spot on, Bill. I really liked this graphic you put in the chat earlier. That's why I've brought it up. Scott's saying, Billy T, you're getting more on YouTube than Bonnie Blue.
Hey, it's
So,
protest season, so I've got to do the rounds. But I'm always on the show regularly anyway. This is one of my regulars. So,
oh dear, I did think about leaving that comment, but I thought I'd lighten the mood a bit. So yeah, no, this graph, and I thought also is interesting. Look how much it's quite hard to read. I mean, my eyes aren't the best, but Bergvall, in 2025-26, his pass success has gone from around last season at about 90 almost to this season to the 70 to 75%. It just proves how much sort of Bergvall is not playing well this season as well. Frank, I'm going to get you in on this, mate. Just talking about Curtis Jones, I'm going to bring up the latest links in just a minute. But from seeing that, Jones is right at the top right there. He's in the top of the progressive passes per 90, nearly at 10 or 11. And his pass success is, as Bill was saying, like high 90s, which is incredible. Do you think this is like a bit deceiving, or do you think Curtis Jones is a player that Tottenham really could need, especially given the lack of progression through the midfield?
I think he makes a massive difference. I think sadly that Liverpool probably will be reluctant to get rid of him now, and that's probably what stops this from happening. But if they could, as I say earlier on, if they could get hold of him, I think I think signing players that have been at big clubs and for a sustained period of time as well, take you up a level. And there's you've got to have something to play at a big club for a sustained period of time. And when Liverpool had that generation of players come through and they got rid of a lot of them, Harry Wilson of a similar sort of age, who's doing unbelievably this year, but probably didn't have what it took to be a real elite level player. Curtis Jones stayed and he played, and he was loved by Klopp. Slot obviously quite likes him. And Liverpool fans love him for good reason as well. I mean, I think he's someone that he comes in, he has not only energy, but he's technically very good. And I think our midfield at the moment is split, bar probably Lucas Bergvall. I think they all have one or the other. And so I think to bring in someone like him who has both, I think you're talking about going up a level. And I think it'd be an unbelievable signing, but one, sadly, I think is a little bit too far-fetched.
Absolutely. Well, this is courtesy of Paul O'Keefe, who's a bit of an insider in the Tottenham community, as we all know. And the Tottenham have Curtis Jones on their list for potential midfield targets. But as we know, Spurs' wish list is normally very, very long, but few and far between in terms of the actual realistic ones. So, Frank, maybe you are right in terms of this one being unrealistic. Henry, what did you make of the news about Curtis Jones, mate? I was watching, obviously, your live earlier. And what do you make of Curtis Jones? And do you think that would be a really good compliment for the Gallagher signing as well? Like Gallagher and Jones coming into that midfield to accompany the likes of, Palhinha, Sarr, and obviously Bentancur being injured is maybe the reason why they are going for two midfielders here.
I think it's actually a really interesting one because Curtis Jones is not someone that, you see the interest and the rumours and everyone's going, oh, wow, Curtis Jones. Which is why I think a lot of people are getting quite upset because we're not seeing the big names, but we're not going to attract big names at the moment. Curtis Jones is actually a decent player, someone that could really change our midfield's dynamics a lot for us. But I think it's really important to consider our midfield at the moment. We have quite a few midfielders that have got a few different jobs. And I'd say in that sort of role, there's kind of a five. I've seen a lot from Kish talking about like the five midfielders that we have or should be going for. So Sarr, Bergvall, and Archie Gray obviously as the young and the to grow, and then obviously Conor Gallagher goes now into that mix. So that fifth one has to be a progressive passer. That is the next signing. So if that is Curtis Jones, then that is the five, and all of them are of similar ages. Conor Gallagher being the most experienced. So that obviously means Bentancur and Palhinha move on, which is up to your own interpretation. And that kind of five is locked off for the foreseeable unless one of those younger ones moves on.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. And I think I think is interesting that I think it's almost definite that Bentancur and or Palhinha will move on. Obviously, Palhinha, maybe they won't activate the permanent, and then Bentancur is a weird one because we've just signed him on a however many year contract extension, and potentially that was a bizarre decision. I thought it was a bizarre decision at the time. I remember saying to Frank, I don't particularly massively rate Bentancur, and Frank was like, no, he's good, and I was like, listen, he's an all right player, but I don't think he's necessarily one we should have signed on. But anyway, maybe I'm in the minority on that one. Bill, what's your thoughts on sort of our midfield situation? I know you've just explained it about the progressive passes, but in terms of like who should maybe stay and go coming into the summer, as Henry's just alluded to there, Bentancur and Palhinha probably aren't going to stay. Who would you move on, mate? And who do you think we should be looking for if we don't get a Curtis Jones?
Yeah, I would definitely move on Bentancur. I think his time at the club will hopefully done. I was surprised that he signed a new contract this season. I don't think it was particularly rewarding a period of good performances, but I think, due to age, injury profile, I think it's time for him to move on, especially as we've upgraded with Gallagher now. I think we've got a lot of 8, so we've got Gray, Bergvall, Sarr, Bentancur, all quite similar profiles. Gallagher now on top of that as well. I think sadly it might, and I say this with a heavy heart because I love him as a player. I really had really high hopes for him, and I still do, but I'm just not sure it's going to work out. Is Pape Sarr, who's really struggling at the moment because he's not even getting any minutes at AFCON. He's not even coming as a sub for Senegal, rarely. He's struggling to get in the Tottenham team as well. And I think that's really surprising considering how good he was at the beginning of the season. And I love Pape Sarr, but I just feel with Gallagher coming in, with Bergvall, with Gray, there's just too much competition for that place now. And I think we'll probably have to look to move on, which is a real shame because I absolutely love him as a player. I love him as a person. I think he's fantastic. And that's not something I would have seen coming at the beginning of the season. And then also, obviously, Basuma will be moved on as well, without a doubt, because obviously he does not have a future at our football club. So there's 3 names there that I think will be out the door. I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest, if we did made Palhinha permanent just because of the price of 20 million or whatever it was. We can probably negotiate it down to. Plus, I thought he was excellent against Aston Villa, particularly in the second half. And it might just be having a bit of an experienced player there. So he doesn't really profile as an 8, more of a 6. So, so yeah, I think it wouldn't surprise me if he stayed as well. But we have to get that progressive passer in there because a lot of our midfielders, there's 4 or 5 players that I've just named there. They're all pretty similar 8 profiles, and we don't have many 6s or anyone that can progressive pass.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry,
too many similar profiles. Go on, Frank.
I'll say something quickly about Palhinha as well. One thing that kind of frustrated me a little bit on Saturday was when I watched that second half and Palhinha was unbelievable. And I don't want to keep sort of going back. It did make me sit there and think, though, that I think last year and the year before, if Ange had have had a player of that ilk, that was a every time you were countered, he would nail them. And the amount of turnovers that we got sort of on the halfway line because he won it back, and then the 3 behind the striker are away, that it was a little bit frustrating that at times I sat there and I went, I wish we had this last year, because I don't think that Palhinha, for what he offers that can be so positive, has been utilised well enough this year. I think he suits it being a little bit more chaotic at times to be able to win the ball back and set you off again. I think when we have a lot of the ball, we've all established this. When we have a lot of the ball, he's not capable of breaking teams down, or whether that's his job or not. He doesn't suit that sort of game. But I think it's frustrating because that sort of chaotic nature, I almost think suits him a little bit more. And I think ultimately, Billy, I think you put this out on Twitter, that it's pretty evident that we have players that can play, and he's restricting them all from playing the whole way across. Whether we think that the players are of high enough quality to really compete or whatever, the frustration. Palhinha is another one that he's obviously good enough. He's obviously quality there in his own regard of whatever he wants to do in that sort of role. But it feels that because of the restricting of them playing entirely, that it prevents any of them from looking any good, and it's quite disappointing, really.
Yeah, interesting. Absolutely. No, has Spurs saying Ange didn't want a 6. So maybe that's why you said at the start about Ange maybe needing that 6. Josh also makes a good point here, and this is one I know Bill likes. Alex Garcia. I saw Sean Spurs Talk Show talking about him earlier, and what a good passer of the ball he is. He'd be a great midfielder who can pass progressively. long balls, switching the play would be very useful if we could get a good left wing in the summer. And Alex Garcia is a player that is exceptional at passing, one of the top sort of 80, 90 percentile in Europe for the passing stats. So one we should look into for sure. But guys, little engagement piece as we're 20 minutes in, and we are going to go into more transfer news now. We've had a bit of opinion pieces on our midfield. It's always going to be the talking point. But I can see there's about 85 of you watching on YouTube right now, and some of you on Facebook as well. Great numbers, great numbers. Please do me 3 massive favors if you would like to see this as daily as possible. Hit the like button down below. It is absolutely free. I can see there's 18 likes on this live stream. What are we doing? It's got to be at least 50 there, guys. So please hit the like button. It's free to do so. Turn on the notification bell as well. It is also free to do so. So you never miss a video that Frank or myself or Bill upload. And subscribe to Spurs Related down below. All 3 of those, the like, the noties, and the subscribe, are all free. I will only plug this twice throughout the whole video, but I really appreciate the support. So please show your support back. What was I saying? So let's go into the transfer news. Let's talk about the last sort of mad 48 hours, I guess. And it started, well, about 6 o'clock yesterday with a David Ornstein bomber that Tottenham closing in on deal to sign Conor Gallagher from Atletico Madrid. The club's nearing the agreement. 40 million was the proposal in euros. Expected to be accepted by Atletico. And the 25-year-old, it feels like he should be older. It feels like he's been around for a while, but he was obviously so young when he was sort of from the scene at so it was Chelsea and Palace, obviously a few years ago. International believed to be keen on the move. Obviously, we heard about, the Aston Villa, that he was going to go to Aston Villa, but absolutely, I think they had some financial fair play problems. And then we got the Ornstein follow-up that he's expected to fly to England to undergo his medical on Tuesday. And we believe that medical, as of now, probably is around about done. He might even be at the club right now, finalising the deals on a long-term deal, 5.5-year contract joining Tottenham. And again, the 40 million euro bid. And then, of course, we got the here we go from himself, Fabrizio Romano. Fee confirmed at 40 million euros, which is exactly what David Ornstein was reporting. And the deal until 2031, which is, in my opinion, an incredible deal. Henry, I'm going to get your thoughts first on this, mate, because I've seen a lot, before we go into this, I've seen a lot of people complaining about this on Twitter, and I've had to sort of stick a bit quiet, but also be like, look, I think personally this is a good deal. I'm going to stand on my, I'm going to stand on what I believe in here. I believe that Conor Gallagher is a very decent player. Is he the answer to all our midfield problems? No, but he's not. He shouldn't be the only midfielder we sign, which is why we're talking about Curtis Jones and others. For me, I think Conor Gallagher brings an incredible amount of experience, both in Europe, Premier League proven, and he's got a good value, like 40 million euros. Worst case, he doesn't do well in 2 years and we sell him on. Like, I don't think this is a risk. So what's your thoughts, Henry, on Conor Gallagher coming to Tottenham?
For me, I think it's hard to sit here and watch all of the people on social media say that they're upset with this or it's not a good deal. But I think it's mainly based on the fact that everyone was very clear in this window that we need a progressive passer and he isn't it. I think they're more upset about the profile of player rather than the player himself. I think it's hard to look at his Atletico Madrid days and kind of see his purpose in our squad, because they play a very, very rigid 4-4-2 system. He's played a lot of minutes centrally. He's played some minutes out on the left, but neither of them are doing what he's going to do for us. He's either going to go and play in a double pivot, in which, look, if you look back at his Premier League days, his last year at Chelsea, he was first in so many of their defensive stats, but he was up there for their creativity as well. I saw something that said he was the 10th highest chances created by midfielders in the Premier League in his last year in the Prem. So, I mean, do with that as you will, with all the defensive stats with it, as well as 7 assists that were to Nicholas Jackson and Raheem Sterling. So if he can get something out of them, he might actually be able to get something out of our forward line as well. But it's hard to see where he's going to profile for us, because I've seen some people, again, referring to Kish. I saw Kish say that he reckons Conor Gallagher could be our left wing signing, not as a left winger, but as like an all-action 10, and then Xabi Simons comes out on the left as like an inside left winger, giving him a bit more time to get into his creative bag and let the left back run beyond him. So there's many ways you can look at this signing, but I don't think there's any way you can look at it and say it's not good business for us, because he is an upgrade. We're talking about Spurs at the moment. We need upgrades right now, people to make us better right now. And as a 25-year-old, he plays beyond his years. He's got so much experience. He was captain in Chelsea for some points of his last year there. He's a player that he's got leadership. He's not gonna fear away from a fight either. He's a good business. It's just my only worry for him is his best attributes are off the ball. And if we play him against West Ham on Saturday, which he fully can, and he will probably play against West Ham on Saturday. If we play him and Palhinha, they're both best actions are off the ball. And I think West Ham's a game we need to dominate the ball. So I worry for that. But I'm really intrigued to see how he can fit into us, because he does have the creativity and the defensive prowess. So he's a good signing for me.
Yeah, no, 100%. I kind of see him as quite box to box, especially when he was playing at Palace. I feel like he maybe was a bit more deeper at Chelsea, but at Palace he was popping up with a lot more sort of goals and assists. And it'd be interesting to see where he does fit in this Frank system, because obviously at the moment I don't really know where half the players fit in this Frank system. I don't think he knows what his best team is. I think that's fair to say. A couple good comments here from Wide Eye. Name a better player than Conor for what he does in the world. I could probably name you a few, but you know, I think you're right. I think he's a very good player. Breaks up play, ball recoveries, score goals, assists, a box to box, jack in the box. Hello to TT Dub. Hope you're well. Nice aerial shot of our stadium, which, by the way, I still think I love our stadium, but I mean, I still don't think it looks great from above. I think it looks like a big toilet bowl, and maybe that's just because I'm rent-freed by all the rival fans that say that, but clearly it's happened. If we get to the knockouts, do we get an injury replacement exception for Bentancur to not lose one of 3 switches? I actually don't know the intricacies of if we get to the knockouts in the Champions League. Maybe, Henry, I know you did an injury video the other day. Maybe Bill, you know, or Frank.
Yeah, no, you don't. No, it'd have to be one of the 3 people. Yeah, that only happens in the league stage if the player's injured for 60 days. So you'd have to be one of the 3 replacements. Yeah. So I'm not sure exactly what happens with Solanke and Tel. I don't know if Solanke would have to now come back in as one of the 3 as well. So either way, there's going to be a lot of mixing and moving players in and out, because obviously Bentancur injury, Richarlison injury, Kudus injury. It'll be interesting to see what they do.
Yeah. I've actually got a piece here, sort of related, that Tottenham will not be able to add Conor Gallagher or Souza to their Champions League squad for the league phase matches versus Dortmund and Frankfurt. And obviously those matches are really, really important, actually, especially the Dortmund game at home. I feel like we need to win that one. And Frankfurt, it'd be good to get something out of that if we want to even have some chance of qualifying automatically. But let's be honest, the way we're probably going to go through is that second sort of group where you have to then play a playoff match. The chat is going nuts. It's probably the most active live stream for a while. And guess what? Because it's transfers. Everyone loves the transfers. It's good to see. There's 130 of you in the house now. Really appreciating the support. We're going to go through a bit more transfer news for you as we continue. But just check the likes. 40 likes. Let's get in there, guys. Make sure you are smashing the like button, turning on the notification bell, and subscribing. It really does mean a lot and really does help. Big up Terry Wright. Hope you're well, mate. Thanks for joining. No worries, TT Dub. Goldie's saying he's Prem proven rather than him going for someone who has to adapt to the league. Actually, guys, you know, there's nearly 150 of you in the house. Let me know your thoughts on Conor Gallagher. Let me number 1 in the chat. Just type the number 1 if you are happy with this signing, and give me a number 2 if you are not. But if you put number 2, you've got to explain why you're not happy with Conor Gallagher, because I'm interested to know the reasonings. Logan's in here, says, evening chaps, big up. Logan, you've changed your profile picture from a Tottenham one to your dog, or maybe it's not even your dog, but, you know, I noticed these things. Moist Bread, what a username that is. If we settle for players this bad, we will remain mid-table for years to come. I think mid-table's being nice with some of our performances. But listen, mate, I think Conor Gallagher's a good signing. Hopefully by the end of the stream, we get you on board as well. The club have now signed top experienced players in Gallagher, Palhinha, Simmons, Kudus and Moani. They have to keep signing that quality. And look at that. The chat has just gone absolutely nuts. TD Dub saying 1, good signing. Has Spur agrees. So does Hotspur. Surreal. Ronnie Logan. Moist Bread saying he's not keen on the Gallagher move. You have to explain why now. Scott Amos is also a 1. Darren Fearon is going for a 2. Can we just buy Angelo Stiller already? What a player he is. Ones all days in the chat. And Terry, I and Stefan Everington. He pops up. Matthew Everington. We've got Matthew Everington's cousin in here, by the way, Henry. It's not. It's just a bit of a joke about his surname. Goldie is saying 1. Ali as well. Love that. What is that? Is that? I'm going to make it sound so stupid. Is that puffin? No. Is that? What is that? Is that? It's not a parrot. What is it, guys?
Is it a toucan?
Toucan. That's it. That's
toucan?
exactly what it is. Anyway, the guys on Spotify probably think we are absolutely nuts. But yeah, there was basically someone with a profile picture of a wild sort of bird, a toucan. There we go. That's exactly it. I just had an absolute brain sort of meltdown. Anyway, let's get back into the transfer news. So obviously we had the here we go from Conor Gallagher. We got the information that Aston Villa agreed the deal, but left the races. The player didn't give the final green light, but also there was rumours about it was to do with financial fair play and stuff like that. Ali Gold today, Tottenham London correspondent, Football London correspondent, is saying Conor Gallagher will be doing his medical today. Understand Souza is also expected to arrive later tomorrow, so his formalities could be tied up on Thursday. The Brazilian season ended a month ago, so he's unlikely to be straight in Saturday's squad anyway, and that's linked to Edu Burgos's information. So let's talk quickly about Souza for about 5 minutes, because I feel like not many people know much about him. Frank, what do you know about Souza, mate? And are you happy with his signing? Obviously, a 19-year-old left-back from the Brazilian league, Santos. Do you think this is someone we need? Obviously, I think we need fullbacks, but what's your thoughts on it, mate?
I think, first of all, I think they need a left-back. So first things first, it's positive. I like the fact that they have players, that they're signing players that have that don't have a ceiling. And I think so often over the years, I've sat there and like seen players like this go to Brighton and whatever and been frustrated because it's like, why can't we have them? Having said that, I think that we need to, I wish we'd sign more players of the 23, 24, 25 age range, like Conor Gallagher, like sort of Simmons is just below that, but that sort of age. Kudus is in there. Players that are still sort of entering their peak, or still have years to enter their peak, but can compete now. But I think that he is, from what I've read, as I say, I've never watched a Santos game in my life, I don't think, but from what I've kind of sort of gathered, I think I referenced him the other day. I listened to an interview from Tim Vickery on TalkSport, who is the South American correspondent and sort of football expert, and he said that he thinks it's a very, very good signing for 15 million quid. And so for that reason, I will back him. I'll buy into what he says. There you go. There's the Tim Vickery comment. He said that he thinks he's pretty good, and usually Tim Vickery is pretty spot on about things in South America. So I will back what he says. Yeah, absolutely. I just can't imagine someone watching sort of South American football like late at night, like Santos versus, I don't know, like, you know. It's actually quite entertaining. So I remember sitting there watching one of the Libertadores finals or whatever in the last couple of years, and it's got the most enjoyable game of football I've watched like in years. I guess there's a lot of massive tackles and yellow cards. Yeah, everyone just batters each other. Some fella called John Kennedy, which was a great name anyway, scored and then got sent off a minute later for his celebration. It's just like, it's perfect. It's so good. I remember that. Yeah. It's so good. Yeah. Bill and Henry, I'll get your thoughts. Bill, I'll start with you. Souza, know much about him from doing your research, Bill, obviously on Twitter and stuff like that. Any thoughts for the guys in the chat? And also, before I get your thoughts, someone's saying big up Billy T, big up TT Dub. And what was the other comment I was going to bring out? I thought it was quite funny. Moist Bread saying Oxford will love Souza when we load him out. I thought that was very good. That's good banner. Yeah, what's your thoughts, Bill, on Souza, doing your research and everything? Yeah, I don't know a lot about him, but I know he's very highly rated. I think there's, a lot of people say he's the best Santos product since Neymar. So that's pretty high praise there. I know he's got an outside chance of being picked by Ancelotti for the World Cup, and Tim Vickery speaks very highly of him. Obviously, Tim Vickery was not confident about Veliz, which obviously transpired to be a poor transfer. And then
I will never forget Tim Vickery for calling Paulinho, sorry, the Brazilian Lampard, though, which never actually would turn out to be a terrible transfer for us. But there you go. But yeah, I am.
Oh Christ, that is
Yeah.
going back, isn't it?
That goes back if you PTSD there, doesn't it? But yeah, I'm optimistic about it. I think, especially with you, Doggy, coming back, that means we've got 2 left backs again. Hopefully, I'd like to see Jed Spence move over to the right and give Porro some rest and some time out of the team, because I think his performance has been declining week on week, actually. And you know, oh yeah, there you go. Someone just said that exactly in the chat as well, Zico Wilco. Because I'd like to see Spence at right back again, because I think Spence has been really good for us lately, but he's having to play on the left. And then I'm assuming that Souza is left-footed. I don't know that for sure, but I guess that he is. But it'd be nice to see an overlapping left back again, and him and you, Doggy, back. I mean, we've got a bit of depth there finally.
Yeah, no, 100%, mate, 100%. I missed this comment from Karaluka saying, afternoon from South Carolina, big up yourself. He's saying, I know you've probably already said, but thoughts on Gallagher. I just did a little poll just before you joined, mate, and the overwhelming was about 80-90% were happy with Gallagher. I think that's fair to say. So yeah, pretty good. But as we were saying earlier, I think they need another midfielder to sort of accompany him to sort of progress through the lines and that sort of thing. Darren Kilbane, love to get rid of Porro, buy a top right back. Porro is so poor defensively, says Darren. Henry, you're allowed to disagree on this. What are your thoughts on Pedro Porro's season so far? Just a quick one for you, mate. And do you think we need to address a bit more at fullback other than just Souza?
For me, I think it's not something we need to address right now because of our manager scenario and how up in the air it is. Porro's position and profile for the Thomas Frank system isn't great. Any ball that's diagonal over his head, he's right in trouble. 1v1, he's not a great defender. But I mean, not that I'm saying it's even possible, but should we get a manager that likes 3 centre halves like Xabi Alonso, he'd be the perfect kind of option to go on as the right back or the one to push on, because a bit like Trent, but maybe from Temu. He's just the he's really good going forward, but he lacks a lot going backwards.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Some of the people in the chat, I can't find it now, saying, "Oh yeah, here Porro needs to be transformed into a winger or just sell him." Can I go on, Frank?
Quickly weigh in on this as well a little bit. That he's one of the ones that I've kind of started to have real doubts about, actually, and I've always quite liked Porro, but I'm starting to consider the possibility of the good games that we're seeing from Porro actually being the I can't think of the word, the odd ones out as such. That every time I watch Porro now, the numbers after the game is putting 18 crosses and 2 of them are successful or something ridiculous. If you gave Trent 18 crosses in those areas, he hits 10 of them probably. And there's such a big gap now.
Probably. Yeah,
exactly. And whilst I like him and whatever, I think that there comes a point where he's one of those players that I'm, as I say, that the 2 in every 10 that he plays really well, they're the odd ones out now. It's not that he's having certain players. Bergval's one that I look at and I think that more often than not probably gives you a 7 out of 10 or whatever, and he's quite consistent like that. Porro's a 2 or he's an 8, and there's kind of no in between, but he's a 2 8 games out of 10, and that to me is becoming a bit of a concern, and I think he's one that I've started to actually question now.
Absolutely, mate. Darren Fearon saying people were blaming Danzo for the first goal against Villa, but you can see that Danzo was trying to cover for Porro's mistakes, and I actually thought Danzo was pretty good. I think you could count on one hand how many bad games Danzo's had for Tottenham. I don't think he's been bad at all. I think he just does his job. He's not an exciting defender. He's not a Van de Ven, but I think he's actually pretty solid personally. I actually like Danzo as our backup centre back. And I mean, let's be honest, Romero's having an absolute stinker this season, so he's probably not far behind him in terms of that and everything going on behind the scenes. And you know, our captain calling out the board. It's just a bit of a shambles, really, isn't it? But Porro's attitude to the fans stinks, says Scott. Liverpool want Van de Ven in the summer. I think anyone wants Van de Ven, mate. Danzo's quality bench player, says Terry. I understand he plays too many games, but come on, he can't put in the bad performances consistently. Absolutely. And Moist Bread saying Livramento would be perfect for us, and Porro makes Romero look poor at the best of times. I'm going to carry on with the transfer news, guys. There is nearly 200 of you watching on YouTube. Absolutely insane numbers tonight, guys. Really appreciate all the support as we keep trying to grow this channel. If you are enjoying the stream, I know I said I'd only do it twice, but I lied to you. I'm a liar. Please hit the like button. That would be most appreciated. It is free to do so. Turn on the notification bell as well, which is next to it. That's free to do so. So you can come in here when we're live every single day, or whether we do a video or a live stream every single day, and subscribe to the Spurs Related channel. That's also free. So like, notice, subscribe. Let me know when you've done the hat trick in the chat. And if you want to go the extra mile, there is the super chat and membership options. With the memberships, you get priority on the chat. So I read your chat out more, especially on days like this where it's really busy. But also the super chat, if you want to change the talking point, it's as cheap as I think £1, and you can have your steer on what we talk about next with a question on the super chat. But as I said earlier, Paul O'Keefe saying that Gallagher's getting a 5.5-year deal. So pretty good. Are you surprised, actually? I'll go with Bill. Bill, are you surprised that it's a 5.5-year deal? Do you think it should have been less, or do you think actually showing good intent from Tottenham there?
I can almost tell you why that is, because obviously we were in a pretty heated race with Aston Villa, and I think if we're being honest with ourselves, I think the player would have chosen Aston Villa in terms of a project at the moment, because they're miles ahead of us in terms of competency, and as they showed at the weekend, they're a much better team than us. So we had to, for once, let the money do the talking, and this is so anti-Tottenham. So I'm pleased that it's happening finally. One way you can do that is by throwing money at the players, and we've always said before, like, footballers can always talk about the project and wanting to join this and that. At the end of the day, it always comes down to money. And for once, we've been the ones with the money and say, all right, if you come to Tottenham, we'll pay a permanent transfer fee, which gets Atletico on side, and Conor Gallagher will give you almost a 6-year deal, and a high wage, and I'll pay you. And I think you've seen Chelsea and Man United last season. They finished 15th, 16th, 17th, whatever. Man United finished 15th, 16th. They managed to sign Mbeumo and Cunha. The fact is, players aren't really interested in anything other than money in general. So we've finally been the ones to actually pay the money. So I think it's a good thing moving forward. And it proves what we've said before about other transfer winners, like Eze, for example, last season. If we'd have just gone in straight at the first week and say, here you go, come and join us for £250 a week, that deal would have been a lot quicker, and we might have got it over the line. So finally, Tottenham are paying the big money for players, because that's how you sign them at this level, I think.
Yeah, I think you're spot on, and we've had to change that, haven't we? Like we to get Xavi Simons in, we had to give him, I think it was £200 a week. Romero new contract, £200 a week. Before we were under, like, I think we had three or four earners over £100,000, which was absolutely crazy for sort of a top 6 club. If you still count us as a top 6 club, we're kind of clawing on for a top 16 club at the moment. John Stokes, big up yourself, mate. Really appreciate the super sticker. Let us know if you want anything. Like I said, the super chats mean you get to direct the next talking point, but really appreciate that, mate. He's saying evening, James, Frank, Billy T, and Henry. Thank you so much for your support. Darren Kilbane saying Porro defensively, ball watches his positioning on the ball, so poor, leaves the opposition winger free behind him. Moist Bread saying good contract, just not with us. Porro must be Spain's national coach's love child. How else would we, this half-wit, get in that team? Very strong words from you, David. Very strong words from you on this Tuesday night. I wanted to just steer the conversation for Frank. I know you've only got 5 minutes. We'll probably be live for another 10 or 15 minutes. But Frank, I'm going to change the subject. And this is one which I think is going to be very mixed in the chat, because Mathys Tel has not really been incredible for Tottenham, let's be honest. But in recent games, he has shown sparks of the talent that we know he can be. And, he's very young still, only 19 or 20 years old, I believe. Now, there's a link via Pletty and Bill, I know you're like his arch nemesis. So, we'll get your thoughts on that in a minute. But Paris FC apparently are working on a loan move for Tel. The main selling point is offering him his preferred position as a striker. The core of his frustration is not only his lack of playing time, but above all, the fact that he is rarely used as a number 9. So essentially, apparently, he's saying he doesn't want to be on the left. Tottenham are still blocking every inquiry for now, as they want to keep Tel at the club. Frank, as I said, starting with you, I know you're a big Tel fan. I know you've got big hopes for him, etc. What are we doing here? Because for me, I said it's going to be mixed in the chat. I can already see, look, Tell from hell, bye. And people, I can't remember who else has said it. The chat's going so quick. Someone else has said about getting rid of Tell. Where are you at with it? Because I'm so interested in what people think about Tell. Someone said here, look, who's a big Tell fan? I think it's the fact that he's got a lot of potential. We know, he's come from Bayern Munich. He does always very well in the France under-21s. He's got some good attributes, but he hasn't hit the ground running at Tottenham. Do you think that's a fair summary? And what do you make of potentially loaning him out, mate?
I mean, yeah, so far he's not maybe hit the heights I want him to hit. I feel like, given this is probably the last thing I say before I run, I feel like I'm about to set off some sort of like grenade that's going to blow this chat up a bit, because I think this is going to be slightly disliked. But I love him, actually, and I love him and I love Odobert, and because I love them because whilst they're raw, they make me believe and they give me a sense of hope that when they get the ball, I go on. I want to watch those two. I want to watch them because I want to see them try things. I want them to excite me. And there's a player in there. There's a player so obviously in there, but someone has to get hold of him. The right person has to get hold of him. I think Pochettino would love him. And I think some of the other managers we've spoken about would love him. I think Iraola would love him. I don't think is maybe necessarily working with Thomas Frank. Thomas Frank's quite clearly not massively keen on him. I'll be really disappointed if they get rid of him. Really, really disappointed. It's even on loan. I think, certainly, especially with Johnson gone, Kudus out, it would make very little sense. And Richarlison out as well now. It would make very little sense. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan because I feel there's that comment there as well. I feel like he's kind of got the balls to go at people and to make you believe that he's going to hurt you. He's more direct than some, and I think those two together, we saw it in that second half against Villa the other day, that when I go to Tottenham, I go because I want to be entertained. And I said this the other day on sort of the rant I went on. I so often now football there's such a lack of actual entertainment in it because there's so much money in it that it's so tactical and such a chess game. He excites me because I think there's a player there, and I want someone to get hold of him that makes him the player that I think he can be. I think he's a finisher. But I think he's a finisher from wide, like Sonny was. I don't think he's a 9. I don't agree with that idea. But I think he's a finisher, and ultimately, whenever he's kind of really been given a proper chance this season, he scored goals. And so I think he should stay. I hope he stays because I like him. I like him as a player. I like him as a person, and what we see of that. I'd be disappointed if he went. Really disappointed. But that's my say on it before I head out.
Yeah, no, I know you got to go now, mate. I just think, in a way, I agree with you, but not to the extent like I don't love him. I would never say I love Tell. I mean, maybe if he becomes like this somehow, this hero at the club, his cult hero, you start banging him in, like, and you can't not hate, I don't hate him, but you can't not love him, then maybe. But I think it's crazy that we're looking to loan him out, especially as he started to get a run of games, started to score a couple of goals. I think it's crazy. I know there's a lot of people in the chat disagreeing right now. That's what it's all about. I'm going to get Bilty and Henry's opinion on Tell in a minute, and then we've got one or two things to go through. Frank, I know you got to go. Do you want to plug anything? There's 200 people watching on YouTube right now. You got anything to plug? Your TikTok, maybe?
No, we'll go with Thomas Frank out. Thanks.
Okay, mate. Cheers, Frank. Take care, mate. Okay, Bill. Obviously, you've just heard Frank basically say he loves Tell, and there's a lot of people in the chat. Before I do continue, I just missed the super chat. Really sorry. Bill Greenwood, really appreciate that, mate. He said, this is the first true post-Levy window. Exactly. We've got a show in 10, and is Conor Gallagher the start of that in 10? Is Souza the start of that in 10? Are we going to get a 8, 9 out of 10 window? Let's see. But really appreciate the £2, mate. Thank you very much. That is most appreciated. The chat is going crazy. I really am struggling to keep up. Really appreciating the support, guys. Make sure you are hitting like, turning on notifications, and subscribing. They're all free to do so, but really appreciate the support. Bill, and then I'm going to come to Henry as well. Thoughts on Tell potentially being loaned out? A, do you think it will happen? And B, I'm guessing you wouldn't want it to happen, but what's your thoughts?
No, I think it'd be an absolute disastrous move. I'm like Frank. I'm a big fan of Tell. I think he's excellent. Massive bags of potential. I think he's one of our best ball strikers that we have. I think for me, he starts left wing at the moment for us. I think every time he's played left wing, he's looked decent. He's scored a decent goal against Bournemouth. He can take players on. He's got a really good set piece delivery as well, which we've seen. He's been involved in a lot of set piece goals this season, and I think it'd be absolute madness with our injuries to let him go. I think be interesting to say that he likes to be preferred as a striker. I think he's good off the left, but there's no chance we could ever be. We could be looking to offload him at the moment, especially with our injuries. I would definitely want to keep him for the future. And I think under a different manager, particularly someone like Pochettino, or dare I say Xabi Alonso, he could absolutely thrive.
Yeah, I think you're right. At the moment, he's probably not got the right manager as most of these players, if we're being honest. And I think it's fair to say that there is a minority that want Thomas Frank to stay now. Henry, coming over to you very quickly, mate. Thoughts on Tel? Do you think we should loan him on, or do you think we should keep him?
I mean, Tel as a player, he's never really got the proper run that he needs. Like players like Xabi Simons that have come in have got a run of a lot of games where everyone's given them a lot of respite, giving them the chance to really grow into this league, because it is proven that the Bundesliga to Premier League kind of move isn't one where players adapt really quickly. And now we're seeing Tel get a run of games. He's starting to really get some confidence. I think that Bournemouth game really was a turning point for him. He went and he's fullback the entire game. He just got shots off. It was things that we hadn't really seen from Tel much really in a Spurs shirt. But I think loaning him out is absolutely ridiculous. Even Tel's not a player where I'm sitting there going, look, we don't need to go and buy a proper elite level left winger because, we've got Mathys Tel. But if one comes in, I still think he's someone that we need to keep. He can do roles on the left and up front. And with our injury record, I think it's ridiculous to even consider this.
Yeah, absolutely. His injuries through the roof. I saw your video the other day explaining, we've pretty much got 18 first team squad players. Is absolutely nuts. Absolutely nuts. With our injuries, we should not let anyone leave on loan, says Eamon. Exactly that. Very quickly, you've got a couple more bits to get through. Akliouche is a player that we are apparently have renewed interest in, according to Miguel Delaney. Bill, we'll start with you on this one, mate, because I know you've got to go very, very soon. What's your thoughts on Akliouche, and do you think we should be going for this guy? And just to give you a bit more context, guys, watching on YouTube, this is his FB ref. He's in the top 90s percentiles for a lot of things against midfielders, but of course, a lot of the time he is playing on the wing or in attacking midfield. But again, still pretty good. Bill, thoughts?
Oh, mate, I'm a massive fan of the player, an absolute huge fan of this player. Someone that I really wanted in summer. Someone who can play across the front three. Plays a lot on right wing for Monaco this season. We saw him play against us. He absolutely tore us apart at times. Really, really creative outlet, can score goals as well. Huge fan of this player. I think it would be a massive sign. And when we spoke about the beginning, or when we've spoken all season really, about this being a big January, this is the kind of sign I think that would really improve us. I'm a huge fan of this guy. And I know that obviously some people think that, we obviously got Kulusevski coming back, eventually months down the line, but this guy can play anywhere in the front three as well. So he'd also be good competition for Xavi. Huge talent. I'd be massively in favour of this signing.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to give you guys a bit more context, Alistair Gold's saying that we've held long-term interests in Mathys Akliouche for a while, and it's understood that Monaco are looking at players in his position in case he did in fact depart anywhere this month or in the summer. So I guess that's good news for us, but of course could be all sorts of clubs linked with this guy, as Bill was saying, really highly rated player. I did have a couple more bits to go through, but we're going to save it for next live stream, which will either be tomorrow or the next day, but we'll definitely have some content out for you tomorrow. As I said, guys, please like the video. It means a lot. Really appreciate the stream today. It was an amazing one. Turn on the notification bell as well and subscribe to Spurs Related down below. Before you all jump off, please do me a massive favor also, as well as those three things, and check out White Heart Henry on TikTok. Henry, thank you so much for coming on today, mate. Really appreciate you coming on, and great debut. What can people find over on your TikTok? And I'm going to put the link in now. Guys, can everyone please go and follow Henry on TikTok? What's coming up there, mate?
Yeah, so I've been dropping lots of Spurs content daily, especially with the transfer window. I mean, there's untold amounts of content. I like to go through the squads. I like to do a lot of live streams, get people involved, get opinions really. I like to analyze sort of how our squad is at the moment and sort of possibilities, go through a lot of that sort of side of things.
Absolutely, mate. And yeah, it's great content every single day. You do a few videos. So guys, go and please check that out. The link is in the live chat right now, as well as on Facebook. And guys, Billy T, where can people find you, mate? Probably a stupid question, but obviously you're pushing your TikTok as well, mate, which is in your link on your Twitter. What's coming up over on Billy T World, mate?
Yeah, obviously been doing a lot of work at the moment. We changed for Tottenham, so I'm going on quite a few streams this week. But for the protest, but yeah, I've definitely been back on this show in our next live, and looking forward to getting into more transfer stuff. But thank you guys. It's been a pleasure to be with Henry as well for the first time.
Absolutely love it, guys. Please check out Bill's stuff to do with Change for Tottenham and all the protest stuff that's going on. That's very, very important. If you want to see change at Tottenham and Henry, come on YouTube, mate. I don't do TikTok. Really appreciate all the support, and especially the super chats from John and Bill Greenwood. That doesn't go unnoticed. Really appreciate it, guys. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts. And go and subscribe and follow Henry and Billy T. And we'll see you guys very soon for another episode back on Spurs Related. Remember, as always, come on, you Spurs. Come on.